Please come to order. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioner of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. I am Randy Guy, President of Commissioners of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners. Sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, St. George Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
Sitting to my left, representing the 3rd Commissioner District, which includes Charlotte Hall, 7th District, Golden Beach, and Mechanicsville, Mr. Mike Alderson, Jr.
Good morning.
Representing the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Mr. Scott Ostro.
Good morning.
Seated next to Commissioner Ostro at the end of the dais is our David Weiskopf, our County Administrator.
Morning.
On my immediate right is Julia Birch, our Recorder for today. Sitting at the table to my right is our Communications Director, Jenna Guzman.
Good morning.
Amy Carter and Andrew Beckman, our video media producer and staff, is behind the scenes, behind the glass here. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. When you come to the presenter's table, please come down the center aisle. And remember, this meeting is being televised, so you need to speak clearly and directly into the microphone for recording purposes. At this time, we'll please stand. We'll have Commissioner Hewitt do the invocation and pledge.
Dear Lord, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and to nurture our bonds with our citizens and our community. And continue to remind us that all we do here today and all that we hope to accomplish is in pursuit of truth and for the services of our citizens and our community. We ask this in your name. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt. Next, we need the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any disapproval? Ayes have it. Next, we are honored to have the Department of Emergency Management, Secretary Strickland from the state of Maryland, down here to visit us. I'd like to have him and our Emergency Director, Ms. Sutsby, come forward and give us a little update and presentation of whatever you might can. Words of wisdom, put it that way. Thank you for being here today, sir. We do appreciate you coming down to see us. It's very nice.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Morning, sir.
Suts?
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners, County Administrator Weiskopf, and residents of St. Mary's County. Joining me today from the Department of Emergency Services are Deputy Director Gerald Gardner, Emergency Manager Amy Bledsoe, Emergency Management Specialist Quinn Alsheimer, and our summer intern, Christina Balaton. It is my distinct honor to introduce the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, Secretary Russ Strickland. Secretary Strickland has been the face of emergency management for the state of Maryland for nearly a decade, serving as the director of MEMA from 2015 to 2021 before being named as the secretary of now MDEM. He is a lifelong public servant with a robust background in fire, rescue, and emergency medical services. He is a dedicated partner, and we are grateful for his continued support here in St. Mary's County. After the commissioners' meeting today, we will move to the EOC, where we will meet with Secretary Strickland and his senior staff to discuss local work here in St. Mary's County and how we can continue to collaborate with him and his team to build resilient communities. Later this afternoon, we will host a joint tabletop resiliency exercise with our partners from NAS Pax River, and the Secretary and his team, again, will be observing this joint exercise and providing some much-needed feedback, again, as we continue to evolve, to prepare our communities, to become more resilient and prepared to mitigate any kind of natural hazards that come our way. Mm-hmm. So I will yield the time to the Secretary to open any brief remarks and take any questions from the commissioners.
Thank you very much. And we thank you, sir, for being here. We've had some major changes in our county the last few years. Since the pandemic, we've had to go pretty much to some paid services for our ambulance service, things like that. So it's been very much a growing situation for us here, a big change. Our fire departments are doing pretty good right now. But all the people out there, especially our citizens, we don't think about emergency things until it happens to us. and then that red truck shows up or that siren and ambulance shows up. And I want to make sure we're prepared at all times to respond to our citizens. You've got the floor, sir.
Well, I appreciate those comments, and as one who started out as a 3-year-old chasing police officers and firefighters and, then into Boy Scouts and through my whole life have had nothing but a life of public service and really devoted to public safety. But first, let me bring you greetings from the governor, as well as the lieutenant governor and all of the cabinet. I know you've had several other cabinet members here. I know all of us were here not too long ago and had our cabinet meeting, and that's part of the governor's theme, is that we will move around the state and visit with each of the counties and their leadership and then see what is really happening, ground truth, if you will, with the county. And I was extremely impressed. I had the opportunity to really do the education and training track. So I went to the Career and Technology Center, and that was, for me, a child of the 70s, to see how things have changed and evolved, and then to see how that can move to, the College of Southern Maryland, which through the Fire and Rescue Service I've done work with through the years, but into that and the apprenticeship program, and then ultimately to the University of Maryland at College Park was phenomenal. And I can't say enough about what you are doing in that area, so extremely impressive. Which really comes around to why it is we're doing these visits. One, from the emergency management perspective, and particularly the Department of Emergency Management, where we have emerged now as a full-fledged department sitting at the cabinet of the governor in the state of Maryland. His motto is leave no one behind. Ours is we care. So it's very, very important for us to be out and amongst the people that we serve. And when it comes to service within emergency management, it's very clear that all events are local. So our responsibilities are to be with the local jurisdictions before, during, and after, through all of the mission areas of preparedness within the emergency management discipline, such that we are as prepared as we can be, and we are continuing to build that resilience that we need to be. And the resilience is built really one of two ways, and a combination of the both. One, increased capabilities, and two, mitigating prior to the event. We know very, very clearly from statistics and the data that for every dollar we invest in mitigation before an event, we can save anywhere from $7 to $11 or even more on recovery efforts. And recovery is where we focus on the survivor, and that's the most important point of what it is we do each and every day. So again, state government is very committed to being in each of the counties across the state and working with each one. So it's our opportunity to come out and listen and learn from you all, not for me to talk to you or talk at you or anything like that, but more to talk with you and hear what your concerns and questions might be. We talk about building on partnerships because that's about the only way, truly the only way, that emergency management exists in the world today. It is through partnerships. Government cannot do it alone, and a lot of times government is not the best entity to do it. So it is very imperative that we build partnerships not only with our local jurisdictions, but across all levels of government, and then especially with our private sector partners, and work closely with them and bring them into our community so that we can serve all of the communities well. We do have an excellent partnership with St. Mary's County Department of Emergency Services. I've worked with several of your emergency managers through the years and have nothing but high praise. All of them have a heart of gold, and all of them are there to serve the people and do what is absolutely necessary for the survivors. We've had some good opportunities with them within the funding arenas. We've had good opportunities with them within the response arenas and the recovery arenas. And I'm really happy to say that I'm seeing activity pick up in mitigation. And for me, preparatory means prevention. Prevention means mitigation. And if we can mitigate, then we don't have to respond, or we don't have to respond with as much capability, and our recovery, again, will be simpler. I often say mitigation is the center of the universe, and resilience is the universe. So again, we want to push in that direction. But a very, very good and excellent relationship we've had with St. Mary's County through the years. And this exercise this afternoon, which is called a resiliency tabletop exercise, I am really looking forward to that. Resiliency has kind of emerged as a buzzword in emergency management, and there's probably all kinds of different definitions. I could give you mine, but I can guarantee you the Office of Resilience and our Chief Resiliency Officer will give you one that's just a little bit better tweak than mine. But the bottom line is we're learning, and we're learning together. So this will be an opportunity for us to see how you, at the local level, are viewing resilience and what you're doing and how you want to do it. And you're doing it with your partners, which is extremely important. So we're looking forward to that. So when we talk about a little bit of investing in future resilience, you know, our Office of Resilience, which is new, it was really got kicked off in November of this year when we were able to hire our Chief Resiliency Officer, a deputy, and 2 other folks within that office. And their mission really is across the state enterprise to bring projects and people together with synergies and investment so that the little project we were going to do, when coupled with Department of Transportation, Department of Natural Resources, Department of Agriculture, Department of Environment, if they invest in the same project in the same area, we can encompass and really produce a much, much better project. So that's their goal, is to really look at what everybody is doing. They are not in charge of anyone, make that very, very clear. They are to bring the people to the table who are working on similar projects in similar areas. And we're very, very heavily focused on our vulnerable areas that have a high threat. So we'll be focused on that as we go through the year. And I do know that we've done 3 projects, or we've submitted 3 projects under the 2023 FEMA mitigation assistance, and that's totaling over $1.1 million investment in flood mitigation. So I realize that's one of your major challenges. I have personally observed that over the last 10 years and then many years before with friends in Southern Maryland, recognizing that you have areas that are changing, are evolving, and with that you end up with flooding. And we have to look at that and see what it is we can do together to, you know, take care of that, whatever taking care of that may mean, whether it's moving the people out of the area, it's moving people up in the area, or it's building some type of containment for the water that might be coming into that particular area. So again, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you all and hear you all question the heck out of me, and then I'm really looking forward to going back and working with your folks. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Commissioner, anybody have any questions or comments you'd like to make this time? Anybody?
Well, just to touch on kind of what you were talking, well, exactly what you were talking about. Obviously, we're a peninsula here. Water is one of our biggest issues, flooding especially. And there's several different areas I can easily think of, I'm sure all the commissioners can off the top of our heads, where it seems like the thing we struggle with is mitigating and being prepared for events that we know will happen versus other state level departments such as environment that might have a different view on how to handle the issue there. And do you have a good any kind of solution or recommendations on how to navigate that, how to make different state level agencies work better together so that we can mitigate and be resilient?
That's a good question. Really good question. Because one of the things I think is powerful from our perspective, but not necessarily having the power, and that is right now we have no regulatory control. Now in the future that may change, and you may end up seeing COMAR come out of our department that would be specific to certain areas within this discipline. But those other entities you mentioned all have lines upon lines upon lines upon lines of regulations and rules that they have to follow. And what I think is that particularly with the creation of our Office of Resilience, where we start to run into those problems, is where our Office of Resilience will pull all of those people together, as well as any of the other federal entities, and try and talk this out and see how it is we can come to resolution that will meet the solution and I'm an 80%er. So I like to be able to see the solutions met at least 80% as we would move forward. And the other piece out of that we may extract and see very clearly is what in the regulations may need to be changed. Because the regulations were written in a time and place where the time and place has evolved, the climate has evolved, things are changing. That regulation may not be as pertinent as it was once upon a time. Okay. So my point is, it's the human factor. It's not AI, it's not a computer, it's the human factor of sitting and talking about those things and putting them down. And we run into that. We run into that, unfortunately, a lot. We've had projects in certain areas of the state have taken up to 3 years or longer to get started because we had to work through regulatory rules, but we were able to be successful at the end.
So to build on your answer a little bit, you mentioned, state and federal working together, and here in, obviously, St. Mary's County, we have that very unique, because of the base, and we have great partners with the base, and we work well together. But in terms of being able to, rewrite some of those regulations and things like that, how does that specifically, how does that really work here in the county? Because that's something that obviously we deal with much more upfront.
Right.
Because of the base, and there are some areas on the base that have some flooding issues and things like that. So how do we work that out?
Well, I do know Department of Defense has opened up a couple different programs with what I would consider be mitigation that are offered outside of the area, because again, protecting the area around the base is protecting the base. So I think that's the opportunity to work with them on things like that. When it comes to the regulations that need to be changed, we've almost got to me, have got to address it piece by piece at that particular time. Now, what I would hope is that as our Office of Resilience becomes a little bit more stabilized, in other words, they're brand new, so we got to get them solidified. But once they get solidified, that they then can start through our mitigation program, learning of what regs have been a challenge, talking to the Department of the Environment, what regs have been a challenge, the Department of Natural Resources, what regs have been a challenge, and then we can collectively work together to push those through. It will not be an overnight process. Right. Some of those things, if it's code-based, annotated code, that's going to have to go through the legislature. Well, we get one 90-day shot a year to do some of those things, and actually right now, due at the end of, I believe, August, is our legislative proposals. And, so we're almost 6 months out from the legislative session starting, and we got to know what it is we're going to kind of start the fight for. Regulatory, with the Code of Maryland regulations, but then when we get into the federal regulations, that's another story really, but we can work directly with the department that holds those regs and see what we can do.
I think that's excellent, because I'm very much a proactive rather than a reactive person, and I never want to see us come to this situation where, okay, we've had an emergency and now we're learning we need to change these regs and things like that. I'd like to be able to address those.
I think there's an interesting little story with code and regs that it actually breaks my heart to come back and share, but in 2011, the state of Maryland basically adopted the International Building Code residential code. And in that residential code was a requirement for residential sprinklers. Now, I am a residential sprinkler nut. I will tell you straight up. Those little things were invented in 1870, and if we'd started putting them in every building in 1870, we would have lowered the fire deaths significantly by today. But anyway, the law was passed in 2011. There was an opt-in read in the code of which the intent was by the state that no one would opt out, basically. And we had several counties that did. They basically ignored it. Then when it came time to realize that that was happening, the question was, how do you enforce it? Well, the state fire marshal's office should be enforcing it. Somebody forgot to write that into the code too. So it wasn't until 2022 that the state fire marshal's office had the enforcement authority over the residential sprinkler code so that we could ensure that every county is doing what they're supposed to do. That was 2011 to 2022. That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what we got. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Yes. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming here. We appreciate it. So you talked about the Office of Resiliency, which is a new office. And it always concerns me when we get new offices that have some kind of a goal. I'm not sure exactly what that is, because resiliency in St. Mary's County is not the same thing as probably in Garrett County. And different counties have, you know, what does that, what are they going to do? What's going to change?
Well, I think what the intent of what should change is projects being all over the place where we could bring projects together and prioritize collectively and invest more in a single project, which would make a better project. When you receive from us a FEMA grant, how do I carefully say, I dare say that takes care of the problem 100%, and I realize there's never 100% of the time, but if we had other investment into that project, whether it be other state programs, other federal programs, other private sector investments, we could make a better, stronger project that would build resilience over time. And that's what that office is assigned to do, is to work with all of the different entities, all of the different commissions, to make sure that we get this concept and this idea in. It's almost like public education within fire service or emergency management. You know, how do we educate people to think big picture versus a single picture and focus only on that? Is to see everything around that, and how can we bring all of that together?
Well, again, all politics is local, so obviously what we see affects St. Mary's County and maybe not affects Cumberland or some of those areas. But I guess what concerns me is the cost. You know, you talked about sprinklers, and I support sprinklers, I mean, if it's feasible. But then you talk about these people who do not have a water supply that can provide the sprinkler, and maybe they end up with a tank in the attic or something like that, or maybe they end up with a tank in the ground that has some emergency battery backup. It gets to be complicated, and the point is it gets to be expensive. And what it does, it drives up the cost of housing, which in this day and age is really expensive, takes it out of the realm of younger people to be able to afford, and our rents are really high. So I would say to you that when I hear a new office coming in, sounds like more regulation because they're going to try and fix something that I'm not sure is really broken. Now, if someone wants to talk about resiliency as far as sea rise, I get that. Everybody gets that, you know. I mean, can we see the summers are, I mean, when summers are hotter and the winters are you know, not as bad as they used to be? I mean, we can all see that, especially us who've been around a while. But I worry about this regulation, sir. Other thing, let me ask you, do you have regulation for, well, I'll bring up the EMS and the fire people who, thank God we have them. There was a discussion today on our local radio station
listened
about
to
it,
it.
and it's always good that they bring those things up. But the key gets to be is the amount of certification our EMS people have to go through, and, you know, who pays for that? And hopefully grants or whatever, because at the end of the day, citizens pay for it, taxpayers pay for it. So do you have some kind of statewide testing, like say drug testing for EMS people or people who are in sensitive positions to handle drugs? Do you have some kind of oversight of those types of positions?
That's outside of the realm of my department.
Okay.
But through my experience can share that, you know, that is definitely within the lanes of the Maryland Institute of Emergency Medical Services systems to, if there are not specifics to what you were talking about, that there may need to be, and how they align that. But that would
I
be
just
back to
believe there
them.
should be drug testing for people who have access to drugs that people have to have administered. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioners?
I'll add one more question for you. About back to the Office of Resiliency, and you're working with across several different agencies, correct? Now, will your office work to identify, this Office of Resiliency, does it work to identify any kind of redundant or overlapping regulations or contradictory regulations between the two to make it more efficient? Because that's the biggest thing at our local level, I'm sure you've heard this before, is that we get held up a lot by state agencies and hold up our local projects. And it's not DES, it's specifically, it's across the board, I think. And I think if you're going to do an office like this and create a new title for a position that, we do something like, look down and, MDE, you have this regulation here that contradicts over here at Health. So, how do you go to resolve something like that also? How would you resolve something like that?
Well, and I think that's part of where we want to go and what we want to address. The governor has been very clear to all of the cabinet secretaries that the expectation is that we start to identify those areas where there is redundancy, where there's conflict, and how do we smooth those kind of things out. And it needs to rise to whatever the process is, again, whether it's regulation, which can be changed without the legislature being called together, or is it something we need to put in for legislative change?
Thank you.
Yeah, they've got a hard job when you got hundreds of legislators up there that pat themselves on the back for the thousands of bills they pass every year.
Yeah,
and make all these changes for us. And some of them are good, but many of them are just repeats of and additional we don't need.
Yep.
Well, and listen to you, I grew up in the southern part of the county here. And by 16, I couldn't wait to join the fire department. I really didn't want to join the emergency medical, but there was a gentleman down here who really brought an ambulance to our southern part of the county for the first time in the early 60s, John Early, who talked me into going through his training program. Well, his training program at that time consisted of films, of course, the dummy that you breathed into, and his theme was stop the bleeding and keep them breathing. That was probably our total training right there. But my point here is a lot of our volunteers are concerned about all the training they have to go to. I don't think we need to have registered nurses or doctors in our ambulances right now is to do immediate treatment and get them there to the hospital as quickly as possible. And sometimes this drives away many of the volunteers. They just say it takes too long and too much of my time to learn all these practices. And I don't know if we can do anything to streamline that or make it more efficient for them. Online training, of course, is a good thing and would help out a lot. But mine consisted of a series of films at the local American Legion Hall.
I was there.
And his comment, stop the bleeding and keep them breathing. So that's the main thing we should be working on is get them to the hospital as quickly as possible. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, for being here today. Appreciate it very much. And your visit is definitely needed. And hopefully you'll be able to help us out if we need any help. I think we got a pretty good group here now that's doing a good job. And I'm thankful for all our volunteers we have. And of course, the paid ones now that we have are doing a great job, too, under her leadership. Ms. Utz, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioners.
Take care. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Is so true.
It was
I
very
started that way.
That's what
Got like ambulances.
1963.
They were the best things in the
Thank you
world.
very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This doesn't cost more than $20, so I'll have to claim it. Okay. Thank you.
So much, Steve.
Thank you much, and good luck the rest of the day, and I hope you
thank you
learn
for
a lot
coming
and teach us a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next we have the Department of Land Use and Growth Management decision amendment of Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan, CWSP 23-0369, Villages at Clark Mill. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Jessica Andritz for the Department of Land Use and Growth Management. So as you just heard, we are here for a decision on CWSP 23-0369. The public hearing was conducted on July 16th. The public record closed on the end of the day, July 23rd. During the public hearing, there was one speaker, and the summary of her testimony is enclosed for you in the memo that was uploaded to Board Docs. We received no other public comment, and so today we are asking that you approve and execute the resolution that would change the water designation on the 5 properties from W-6
Right.
to W-3.
Okay.
So nothing's changed on this. It's been approved by the Planning Commission, by the Board of Appeals, and the one person who spoke was in favor.
That's correct.
I'm going to move to approve CWSP 23-0369 to amend St. Mary's County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan to reflect the water sewer category for the property has been changed from W6D, service in 6 to 10 years, developer financed, to W3D, service in 3 to 5 years, developer financed.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move right into county administrator time.
Thank you, Commissioner President Guy. First up are the draft agendas for August 20th and 27th, as there is no meetings on August 6th or August 13th. On August 20th, you'll meet at your normal time and place, followed by 4 proclamations, one for Child Support Awareness Month, one for Forget-Me-Not Month, one for National Aviation Day, and the last one for National Black Business Month, followed by County Administrator time and Commissioner time. On August 27th, you'll start at your normal time and place, followed by a proclamation for Women's Equality Day, County Administrator time, Commissioner's time, a closed session. And first up today, I can see him already standing, Director
They're in
Arthur
formation
Shepard,
there. They're ready.
who is ready for the Capital Project Grants Agreement and Subrecipient Agreement with the St. Clements 100 Handicapped Accessible Vessel. I see Mike Hudson, Tony St. Clair. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
Great project, and it a little bit different, so that's why I was a little excited there. And with me today, we're from the St. Clements 100 again, once again, Joe St. Clair and Mike Hudson, and also sitting with us today are Judy Guy, Nancy Hayden, and Sam Brown from the 100. Staff here is, Karen Stone and Christina Barber, and then our boat captain there, Chris Coleman, and Jennifer Utz is here have met with us on several occasions. And then also we have the fire chief from 7th District, as J.A. Nelson's with us here too, and been discussion as far as that as an emergency vessel. So today, what I'd like is a signature on the capital project grants agreement in the amount of $700,000. That's coming from the legislative bond bill 201. So you've heard about that before. Today I'd be receiving the money, but again, what makes this different and at the same time interesting is the subrecipient agreement. And we think this is the best move to do that, as well as the Department of General Services of the state as well. This is between the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, you, and the St. Clements 100. So in a brief way, just to say the subrecipient agreement, this is not often done, where the state would turn that money over strictly to a nonprofit. So here through the state, the money goes in, but they're the actual ones who are going to do the acquisition, the design and construction of the boat, and get it delivered to us. And then they will get the reimbursement through the county. I thank Buffy Giddings for her great work there, and the amount of time we spent with the Department of General Services and the St. Clements 100. I think we have a good process and a good deal here. It will get us a boat, I think, under budget. And your questions about the construction, all that could go directly to them. Then I'll answer your questions about operating and other matters related to it. So questions, let me know what you think.
What kind of boat you buying?
It's going to be a multi-purpose vessel, ADA compliant for handicap wheelchair accessibility. But it's multi-purpose in the fact that it will be able to move equipment, machinery, and everything to and from the island for special events. Machinery like tractors, trailers full of.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. Ms. Hudson, tell me, is it like a work boat, like we'd see on the water work?
No, sir, it's going to be more like, if you're familiar with Cobb Island's rescue boat, it'll be a catamaran-style hull with a center cavity, twin outboards, pilot house in the back, tie-downs and everything like that. Most likely, it's going to have a ramp or much like a landing barge.
It's going to be in the water all the time, except for when it's pulled out during the winter?
No, sir. What we've done in our schedule of values, we anticipated the fact that long-term, the maintenance cost of it over its lifespan for painting the bottom of the hull. So the vessel's going to be 45 to 50 feet.
Right.
So what in our budget, we have allocated monies for a boat lift to keep
So
it
you're
out
actually
of
going
the
to lift
river.
it?
Yes, much
Good.
like Cobb Island is kind of, we're mirroring what Cobb Island did.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen Cobb Island, but no, that's a great idea because I know from owning a boat, if you don't lift it, it gets barnacles or you have to paint it or whatever. It's
Right,
a
so
lot
we've
more.
eliminated all that long-term maintenance from our design and our whole concept and our whole budget.
Now, see Colton's Point Marina, great bunch,
Yes, sir.
are going to be, they're going to be your people to store it, maintain it, kind of keep it up, get it ready all the time?
Yes, sir. We have a proposal from them for 100-hour, 300-hour proposals, and that's all based on use. The use of this vessel will be shared with the existing water taxi and the new ADA vessel that Recreation Parks is building. So it's trying to balance. Well, they'll balance the use, and then the maintenance costs are all based on time, and we can't really predict it now, but we have budgeted time in the future for all maintenance.
Good. Now, is this a new boat or a used boat?
It's going to be brand new.
Thank God.
It will be, yes, sir. Don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
So we've taken on the services of Kurt Cerny from Cerny Yacht Design. He's out of it. It's up and around Annapolis. He's built a lot of vessels in Maryland. So we're keeping everything here in Maryland. All the design will be in Maryland, the fabrication will be in Maryland, and we'll source all as many parts as we can from all Maryland-based businesses.
So when I see $100,000 for repair, renovation, and reconstruction, that's actually to do renovations to a new boat that you're going to customize to your needs?
Those are we budgeted that in there to allocate for, I don't know, the bond bills language was kind of vague. Okay. So that's what we've used that for all of the repair and renovation. Like, for instance, renovation, we would say renovation of the existing pier to include the boat lift. So all that will be.
So that'll be included in that?
It's all included, everything
okay.
here.
That makes sense.
This is turnkey. This schedule of values is turnkey for everything that would basically, we would hand the keys over to the commissioners of St. Mary's County, and the boat will be operational, be on a lift, and ready to move.
The reason I bring this up, Mr. Hudson, is I know at one time there was a boat acquired for 2nd District Firehouse down there. And I remember talking with the people there. They said, yeah, great, we got the boat, but it only cost us $400,000 or some really high number to get that boat to where they needed it to work, where they may have been better off to spend that money on a brand-new boat. But I appreciate what you're doing here, Mr. Sinclair, too, and good luck.
Well, I appreciate it, Commissioner, and I'd like to give credit to industry. Instead of us coming up with a dream, what we did, we took our dream, and I went out and I actually talked to industry. We've talked to the architect, but I went to industry. I'm very fortunate. I work for Triton Metals and Kevin and Melanie Poole, and I've seen what can happen when you take an architectural design and you get a budget that you can't fund. So what I did is I took the pot of money and I went to industry and asked them, this is what we have, what can we build?
If it is.
And I don't want any surprises. We don't want any busts. We don't want anything like that. We want it to be, we just want it to be a successful project. And a design-build approach, in my opinion, is the best path of.
Last question, how many people do you think can hold?
It depends on us. We're going to budget, it's 40, at least 40. We're looking for that. But then again, that's going to be up to the design, and it's going to be up to the Coast Guard how we do it. But it's going to be a very productive vessel.
Good.
Good.
It's not only 40 people, there's also handicap accessible tie downs for wheelchairs, All of that will be in consideration with the naval architect. This will be Coast Guard certified. We'll be working directly with the naval architect throughout the whole process, which is CERNI. They're a fantastic group. We also work with Triton Metals as well. We talk to them. We're also planning to go to Annapolis to look at the ADA loading, unloading facilities. And while we're talking about that, Commissioner Hewitt, one of the things dear to your heart, my heart, because my son has a disability. What happens if you have a storm that comes up? We also have a Plan B. Plan B means that we will evacuate off the island. We will be able to take people off the island and send them back to Colton's Point Marina, which is part of that budgeted item that you're referring to, Mr. Hewitt. That maintenance there, they will add a handicap also on their pier adapted to our needs so that anyone, and that goes back to the emergency services, where anything that happens, we get them off. We don't go to the state pier because the water's too rough there. So we do have Plan B as a backup. We're already working with Colton's Point Marina. They are going to put in the handicap ramp for us to get everybody on and off of that vessel. So this is a community thing working together. We're working together with the museum. We're working together with EMS. We're working together with the fire department, rescue. And to your question earlier with emergency services, we're proactive. Right now, we have no way to get people on and off of that island. This boat will be adapted so that we can get people on and off that island in an emergency. We had a situation out there where 21 people were stranded. All 3 different units came. Cost, this boat will now be able to move 40, 50 people depending on. And the other thing is that the reason that we had the fire department and everyone here, they will be certified to operate that boat. It won't be just the boat captain from the museum that will learn how to operate it. Emergency services, also 7th District Fire Department, rescue, they will get certified so they can grab a key and operate this vessel. This will also be certified to operate in the Potomac River. That is very important. We got waves that'll come up and she'll be able to handle any situation that comes up. The other thing is getting stuff on and off of that island. We have no way to get emergency equipment on that island, off that island, and this also will aid with emergency services to get people on and off, and vehicles if needed. So that's very important as well.
So I think what's significant about this is it's a continuation of a long-standing partnership between Recreation Parks, Museum Division, and the St. Clements 100. And so we have a track record of success, and you're just building on that. So I'm really excited about this. I think this is really good. And I'm excited for the work that you all have done already to prepare for this.
Thank you,
Getting the most bang for your buck. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
Good, good.
I have one question on, here it's the maintenance plan for the annual cost of $9,000. Now, what does that cover?
Let me jump on that real quick. I follow Mr. Hewitt's example because all of y'all are number crunchers. That extra funding that we are able to secure the boat for a lot less, that goes probably into a 5-year funding to help do the maintenance, general repairs and everything, so it doesn't have to come out of the county budget. We knew that that was going to be part of it, so therefore we already approached that. That is in with the maintenance, repair and everything, so the county will not have to come up with the funding to maintain that boat. Only the boat captain and the fuel and the regular maintenance as the boat is needed.
Well, you really have thought it through. Excellent.
No,
I have a question, Mr. Hudson and Mr. St. Clair. For the repair, renovation, and reconstruction, that is for the pier construction on at Colton's Point and on the island?
No, this is a separate budget. Some time ago, back in 2021, we had the landing got destroyed. Mr. Alderson, you were there, you saw it. So what we did, we went also to the state of Maryland and DNR. There was money appropriated, $700,000 for the revetment of the new landing. And particularly that will be designed for this vessel as well. You can't use the state pier over there as a handicap accessible. It's not wide enough. But at the same time, we also are going to have that boat so that it's adapted to both piers. That funding, it was already in the budget at $350,000, so therefore, we will be working with DNR to design the handicap accessibilities on the state pier, on the mainland, and also for the landing on the island. So that's the total of $1 million and some dollars that we've already worked with to acquire through the state of Maryland. We do have a good track record on being able to get funding to help the county and our citizens here.
At one time, that state money was looking to be in two allocations, one to stay in the state and one come to the department as POS type of money. But then they agreed with the planning to be better to making it $1 million worth, $1.1 million to do all the renovations to the island for accessibility.
Because you know, it is a state park, and it seems like the county cares more about that park than the state actually does. And I'm all for that because of the significance of St. Clements Island. How's the process been going, working with the state agencies and getting this project rolling full steam ahead?
Well, I think that an
that's a loaded
example of
question.
that, Mr. Alderson, is that we're working together locally so we can jump through and get past the bureaucratic mess that's up there. So we can do things that a lot of times other agencies cannot as a pass-through to us. And we'll also be having a representative from the county working with us at different stages, so you all can have reports as to the hull is on, this is done, the retrofit's done, the motors are added, so that you all are also in the loop. And that's very, very important to us as well.
That's part of the sub-recipient agreement.
Correct.
Commissioner Alderson, one thing I'd like to share with you, this past Thursday, forgive me, I can't pronounce the gentleman's last name. His first name is Benjamin. He's the regional engineer for the Department of Natural Resources. He was out there with S.E. Davis, who just was successful bidder to replace pilings on the main pier that were destroyed this past January. So I've been coordinating with him back and forth, and we're going to have a seat at the table when they allocate these funds to the design of the pier. We're going to make sure that what we design in our build with Cerny will coordinate hand in hand with the state's design. So, you know, Senator Bailey has talked about this, and we've, you know, a partnership, like we've said, like Commissioner Coleman said, the partnership between the museum and the 100 and this county and all that. It's the same thing, and that's our goal. It's, you know, teamwork makes dreams work. We know what the dream is, we know what the goal is, and we're just going to have the fiduciary responsibility to make best use of this money.
One of the things too, Mr. Alderson and commissioners, is that you have a new DNR secretary. And with each political change, you have changes in office. So we had to bring the new DNR secretary up to date. They have now, with the help of Senator Bailey, brought all their staff, architects, engineers, designers, and that was the first kick, was that Mike and I saw him Thursday when we were out there maintaining the island. So that means that is working. DNR secretary was totally unaware about that landing. And we've been since 2021 in the storm. We have a piece of equipment sitting over there that, thank God, that the gentleman that lent it to us, the man lift, that would cost us $1,500 a week, and we've had it 3 years sitting there and can't get it off the island. So now the new DNR secretary has been brought up to date, and they're going to willing to work with the museum, with Park and Rec, and also with the St. Clements 100s, so that everyone's on the same page as to the design of how to get people on and off that island. And Mike and I are also going to go to, what's the name of the?
Fred.
And we're going up there to look at loading, unloading, because that, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already there. It's just a matter of us bringing it back and then working with our naval architect to make sure that it fits our situation. And the naval architect's already been out there. He went out in January. We broke ice out of St. Patrick's to get him out there to get this project up and going. So he's on board. Secretary's on board. So hopefully now with DNR, we'll get this thing finalized.
Excellent.
Good. Any other questions, commissioners? You got two motions here. The first one, please.
I move to approve the capital projects grant agreement in the amount of $700,000 for the legislative bond for the accessible water taxi for St. Clements Island and authorize the Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Number 2.
I move to approve the subrecipient agreement with St. Clements 100 for pass-through funding for the accessible water taxi and authorize the Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second, all in favor? Aye. Any disapprovals?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay.
Mr. President, could I beg your indulgence for 1 minute?
Sure.
Behind every scene, there are other people. And today in our audience, we have our board of directors that have been very diligent in watching us and guiding us as we go along. But there's 2 very important people that I would like to recognize right now. One of them is our secretary and director, Ms. Judy Guy. And also in the back is the most important one, which is our treasurer, and that's Mrs. Hayden. Albert, if you could have them stand just to be recognized.
Judy, will you please stand up? There you go. And both of them, thank you.
Thank you, because we wouldn't be where we are without you ladies.
You got it.
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
All approved.
Thank you. Next up, from the Office of the County Attorney, is the real property railroad right-of-way easement agreement. Ms. Buffy Giddens presenting. County Attorney, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. I also have Barbara Weibel here today. She's the president of the Hollywood Volunteer Rescue Association.
Okay.
So this easement is actually an amendment to an existing railroad right-of-way easement. They already have a parking lot that is within the railroad right-of-way that they have an easement for. And they also have a sign that they'd like to bring in line with that parking lot, which would expand their area within the railroad right-of-way just a small bit. As I understand it right now, that sign exists closer to the road, closer to 235, and might have to be moved in the future anyway if the trail comes down that way. So this would be a really good way to get ahead of that, and I think put their sign in a nice location. If you have any questions, I'm happy
Ms.
to.
Weibel, very nice to see you. I saw you at the Hollywood Carnival, and thank you and your team for being there to help us out in case we had any emergency. Hopefully you didn't have nothing to do.
Band-Aids.
Oh, wow.
Band-Aid, there you go, there you go.
I like Band-Aids. So this sign will not have to be moved later in case something, is that true?
Right. This should address that now.
Yeah.
Right.
Ms. Weibel, I know this was a point of frustration for the rescue squad. They reached out to me and wanted to know, could we somehow accelerate this? Mr. Davis had reached out. And thank you for the sale of your property. I think that's going to be a great addition to the county. It's a 3-notch trail and potentially a farmer's market, at least in this commissioner's dream from my district up there. So I want to say thank you for everything you're doing.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
I'm going to move to approve the amended railroad right-of-way easement agreement between the Commissioners of St. Mary's County and the Hollywood Volunteer Rescue Squad, and authorize the Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, ma'am, for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioners, that is all. It is a short docket today for me.
Good, okay, we got, we'll go around to Commissioners' time, and we'll start with Commissioner Hewitt this time.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you. Well, I want to say this past Friday, I had the opportunity to host, or the county had the opportunity to host, I was a commissioner here, the federal delegation. It included United States Senator Ben Cardin, United States Senator Van Hollen, and Congressman Hoyer. And Lord knows, I don't know if this commissioner in 60-some years I've been in this county has ever seen two of our United States senators in St. Mary's County. It probably has happened. I just haven't seen it. Obviously, we've seen Congressman Hoyer many times, but it was quite an honor for them to come down. We had a packed house. They brought down a $850,000 big check that's for the YMCA that will be built in Lexington Park. They said many nice things about the project, but one thing that really struck me about what they had to say was how competitive it is for this money. How many groups, how many people are looking for these earmarks is the term they use. It was something they had quit doing. Will say I know that about 15 years ago, Congressman Hoyer was instrumental in getting a $3.7 million earmark to build the Patuxent Naval Air Museum, and that's been a great addition to our county. But what I want to say is thank you for everybody who came. Thank you for the NAACP who showed up and made some great comments. I want to thank Robbie Gill from the CEO of the YMCA of the Chesapeake. They will break ground in October. They are where they need to be or where they want to be or some combination of that in the trying to get the money donated or the raising the funds for it. And they feel very confident. I want to thank especially Mr. Burt Johnson, Rear Admiral Burt Johnson, and his wife Beverly for all they've done. They've headed up that capital campaign committee, and it's been a great project. But it was very, very nice to have those people come down and take their time and come down to St. Mary's County. Now, I have had people who have reached out to me regarding our LUGM processes, and what they talk about is the wait times for reviews. They understand that when they send their project in, they have 30 days to respond, and that seems to be pretty reasonable. And for the most part, they say they get great service out of LUGM. They do have issues with when they've addressed comments and they send the comments back, and sometimes they can be very minor, that they like to have quicker response time. They don't know why it has to wait another 30 days. Because you have people who are buying homes. This is mainly to do with the home market, and it's people who are buying homes who have locks, who have interest rate locks, those types of things. And time is money. And when they don't get their permits or don't have something done in a timely fashion, it costs them money and it drives up cost. So what I'm asking today, I have spoken with 2 commissioners because we can't obviously meet in a group, but I would like to ask Commissioner President if we can ask our Deputy County Administrator, which seems to be his bailiwick, to look into a task force or some kind of a group of LUGM, State Fire Marshal, Health Department, to look at what we can do to accelerate the review process. We understand we don't have a lot of control over state, Health Department, obviously the Fire Marshal, but I do believe if we got their input, if they knew what we were talking about collectively, and we could all work together, we may be able to find some reasonable solutions to this timing issue, which seems to be a common thread through many, many developers and homeowners I've talked to. So I guess I'd like to ask Commissioner President, can we get consensus to ask our county administrator to work in that direction?
No, if we need to do that now, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah. I'd be
I have
on
no
board with that.
problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Other than that, it's been a great week. Have my grandchildren down for the weekend. Lord knows that's a great time, pool and all that, and enjoy your summer. Thank you. Eric.
Very good. I got a couple different things I want to touch on this morning. First off, last week we had a public forum, and one of the big topics of conversation is the animal control ordinance. And it seems to be that the big concern is the 5-dog limit. And so I've had multiple conversations with people who've reached out about this and people who were at the forum. And to me, it seems to be that that's a little bit of government overreach, that we put this arbitrary 5-dog number out there. And so I've spoken with our county attorney and DES and our county administrator, and hopefully they're going to be able to come back with a proposal to the commissioners that will take away this arbitrary number and still meet the letter of what we're trying to, or the intent of what we're trying to do, which is protect the animals and protect the people in this county. And I think that we can easily accomplish that with our ordinance with some minor tweaks. Over the weekend, I was able to attend the final show of our summer stock Cinderella musical. Phenomenal job. It was a really good summer stock. They did a great job. The air conditioning was impeccable in Great Mills Auditorium. It was there was blankets going around. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good show, and all of the young people who are involved with that, I look forward to seeing many of them return next year for summer stock, and the level of talent we have in our county is just wonderful to see. I was also able to attend the Advanced Life Support Installation Dinner, and all of our volunteer fire departments and rescue squads just do incredible work. And Advanced Life Support, that is one passionate group of people, and they do a lot of really good stuff, and they always share a little bit of history in their formation and how they've struggled to stay in existence, and they're doing good work, and they're still here. So we see you, we hear you, we know you're still there, so thank you, Advanced Life Support. A couple things coming up this weekend. First off, the annual lawnmower races at Bowles Farms. Get out there if you can. It is a fun event. It's a good event that raises money for the 7th District Optimist Club and the fire department. Rescue Squad. But they do, it's a lot of fun. If you've never been, if you're bringing young kids, maybe some earplugs or something, because it's a little loud, but it's very entertaining, and it's a good time. Also, Friday, Fox 5 Zip Trip will be back in Leonardtown. So you check out Fox 5 News Friday morning. You might see somebody you know, or go on down there. You might get on TV with Fox 5 News. They come down periodically. I don't know if it's every summer, but every couple summers, and it's always a lot of fun. So hopefully you can check that out. We've got 2 weeks off from commissioner meetings, and during that time, I think the entire board will be going out to our MACO conference, our annual summer conference, and hopefully we'll be able to bring back some new information we learn and be able to share about conversations we've had and sessions we've taken. And we're very fortunate to have our commissioner present on the MACO board of directors, so we know it's going to be a good conference. And, sold out conference, so that's good. So looking forward to it, and have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alderson.
All right, thank you. So I want to address something that bothered me from last week. I'm going to try to address it without being angry Alderson, as the inside joke is up here on this board. So on the 24th of this month, there were, as many of you may recall, that there were riots and protests in D.C. Regarding Israel and Palestine. Well, these riots took place at Union Station, which is about a block away from where I work. So I got a phone calls on the way to work to DC. I got a phone call that said, "Don't come up here. We're not operating tonight." That's not a big deal to me. The big deal to me is the damage that was absolutely done up there to that area. Union Station is a beautiful building. The DC government has put a lot of time and effort into cleaning that area up around Columbus Circle, and it's great up there. I mean, it's nice to go over there and hit a Chick-fil-A real quick in the mall and get a vanilla milkshake before I go into work at night. So but the behavior of these protesters was absolutely unacceptable. Right here, I pulled up the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, and the most important line in here is to peaceably assemble for the redress of grievances against your government. There was nothing peaceful about that, especially when I see police officers getting assaulted and the damage that was done. There is one homeless guy who lives right there in the next to my parking garage, and his tent that he lives in was safe Monday. On that Tuesday, I believe it was, the 24th, I come back on the day after, and someone had, looked like someone had set it on fire. So the one thing he had got destroyed from these people who are so concerned about, what they feel is their rights, and but don't care about anybody else's rights or property. So just remember, we have these laws and rules, throughout our society for reasons, and it's really important that we respect those to remain civilized people. So that's the angry part. So lighten it up a little bit. This past weekend, I did go to the 75th anniversary for the 7th District Fire Department. really great turnout, great food trucks, great bands. It's good to see so many community members, and I saw a lot of volunteers from other departments coming to help celebrate. And it's really nice when you see that kind of camaraderie between the departments. You know, they have their good-natured competitions with each other, especially when they go to Ocean City and stuff. But to see everybody come together in the community and other fire departments come together and celebrate this milestone is it's just basically cool. And like Commissioner Colvin said, we're off for 2 weeks. Next week's going to be the get some projects around my house done that have been put off. And then, of course, Mako. I said last week that I want to start really concentrating on housing in St. Mary's County. And there's opportunities here, and there's opportunities that were taken around the state and around the country that we can probably mimic here in the county to help alleviate some of our issues with housing. This morning I heard that Montgomery County is allowing more use of accessory dwelling units, basically she sheds or actually small in-law buildings on property that's on next to the child's home or into the senior citizen's home who doesn't need a big house, so they go into a little place, but building it on the same property. And that's something I want to try to explore when I go to Mako and talk to some folks over there from Montgomery County and from Baltimore County. So the week we're in Mako is the week that the teachers get to return to school. So, you know, a blink of an eye and the summer is gone. We're here on the 30th of July, and I'm trying to figure out where July went because it seemed like just yesterday we were just lighting off fireworks. So love for everybody to start getting yourself in that school's back mind frame and respecting the great big yellow vehicles that are riding around with the flashing red lights that say, hey, you know, stop and let these kids cross the road and get to their buses safely. So just be mindful of that. And I want to thank Secretary Strickland for coming down from Emergency Management. I think it's really great that the cabinet members from Annapolis are coming down and visiting the county and doing presentations and working with individual departments down here to make progress on things, because I am a pretty frequent critic of state government. We can move slow here, but sometimes it's very frustrating dealing with state government and how slow they move, especially on projects that we have here in the county that we really would like to see expedited. So with that, I want to wish everybody a good couple of weeks off, and I'll pass it along to Commissioner Ostro now.
Commissioner Ostro.
Well, so just a few things. As well, building on what Commissioner Colvin had said, you know, we had a public forum, and as well as the, you know, animal issue that was brought up, there was also several people here that were very concerned with some excessive flooding in their neighborhoods that they believe has a lot to do with some of the new construction that we've allowed on 235. So I met with them afterward and spoke with them, and this afternoon I'm going to be actually going out and touring and walking through one of the neighborhoods that really seems to have that issue a little bit more seriously, because I want to be able to go out there and take a look at that and see how we can address that to be more proactive and preventative of this happening, because, you know, people's homes and people's front yards and things are getting flooded where it is, you know, it's costing them money. You know, you put money into your yard and mulch and lawns and all that, and then when we have flooding, that costs them money, because then they have to go and redo. And we all know, you know, money's tight these days with inflation and everything costing more. So we want to make sure that when we build and what we allow to be built is not causing undue harm or damage to the surrounding community. So I'm gonna be taking a hard look at that, and I want to take that seriously. And then based on what we come out of, I want to have some meetings with our, you know, with Lugum and with DP&W and make sure that we're addressing those issues the current ones that we have and making sure that we are putting preventative measures in place to ensure that new buildings, as the county grows and as things expand, that we're making sure that we're taking care of our already existing establishments and homes and neighborhoods. This weekend also had a great opportunity to I mentioned it last week, kind of take the show on the road a little bit, and went to Cedar Lane, brought the town hall. Commissioner Colvin was gracious enough to do that with me, and it was a great meeting. A lot of great questions came out of that, a lot of answers to some of the questions that Commissioner Colvin had actually brought with him. We got some very interesting answers, and to be able to go and have that perspective from folks who have been in the county, for many years, some of them all their lives, and what they've seen and what the changes they've seen are, and how that has affected them, both good and bad, and specific questions as to what they're looking for in the community, and what would they like to see the commissioners accomplish or us accomplish here in St. Mary's County. So that was absolutely. It was very informative, and it was great to do some just to have that different perspective. Looking forward to having more of the town halls. I'm going to be looking into doing them at the senior centers and up at the Veterans Home in Charlotte Hall, and finding out, because I think it's very important that we make sure that we are not forgetting or not overlooking our senior community and our seniors within this community. They have a lot of input, and they see a lot of things that perhaps we don't see, and they have a very different perspective a lot of times. So really looking forward to doing more of those and expanding on that, because it's very important for me to make sure that all our citizens are informed and know that every commissioner up here is working hard to ensure that we do the best that we can for everybody in this community. Coming up this weekend, lawnmower races. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Going to bring bringing our grandchildren. Jennifer and I are bringing our grandchildren to that. So this is going to be the first year that they're really kind of old enough to really get into it. So it's going to be exciting to see that, and it's always a great time. It's supposed to be some beautiful weather coming up, and it's going to be a great day for that. So really looking forward to getting out there this weekend and enjoying that. MACO conference is coming up. We do have some quote unquote time off for commissioners. Commissioners will still be working, even though we won't be meeting on Tuesday. We'll still be very involved with the community. We're still going to be talking and working with various departments and things like that. So, but really looking forward to MACO. I did look on the MACO site. There are some interesting sessions that I'm really looking forward to sitting in on. I very much agree with Commissioner Alderson. Affordable housing and the housing issue that we have in the community here, something that seriously needs to be addressed, and looking forward to attending some of these sessions and working together to see what we can do to fix the problem that we have in this community and in this county, to ensure that everybody has that opportunity to be able to own a home and have that for themselves. So with that, I'm gonna pass it on over. Just have everybody have a safe weekend. Make sure summer is coming to an end. Get out and enjoy the last bit of the summer weather. Get out and enjoy the beautiful farmers markets we have all around the community. Support local businesses, and everybody stay safe.
Thank you, Commissioners. I want everybody to remember the zip trip that Channel 5 News has is Friday morning. Now, you got to get up early, because that's last time I was involved, and it was like 7:30 in the morning that we had, we and myself and the mayor was online. It'll be the same time probably this year again, too. It'll probably be this coming Friday morning about 7:30. So tune in to Channel 5 to see it, or come on out. I know there'll be numerous groups out there, and it's a fun day. They're here almost until noontime or whatever during this session. It's really a fun time. The last time I helped them learn how to stuff ham. That was really exciting because they never heard of such thing. I had a hard time getting them to taste it. They looked at it like, what? You stuffed ham with green stuff and you want me to eat it? And believe it or not, Tucker Barnes did eat a little sandwich. Not that he liked it that much, but he ate it. So it's fun, it's a fun thing, and I'm glad to see they're back again. So try to tune in or come on out to Leonardtown. We'll probably be on the square down there. The lawnmower races, which are this Friday and Saturday, these are not ordinary lawnmowers. They look like riding lawnmowers. They don't have any blades on the bottom. They take them off. But their engines are a little bit, you might say, souped up. They don't run like a regular lawnmower. They're very, very fast. And it's exciting to watch them. And believe it or not, some of these guys come from the Midwest. I mean, these are some serious people that are racing these lawnmowers. And it seems like it all started in England a few years ago. We had an English group here that came from England, actually came out here and raced with us. And so but they race on regular grass. Bowles Farm, our guys learned they race on it's actually like a packed clay type dirt track that they're on. So it's exciting to watch. It really is. So make a trip out there and watch it. You'll enjoy it. And what Commissioner Alls talking about, I did check on something on the both the dwelling, you might say, accessory dwelling for houses, as well as some of these tiny homes. Because I vacationed down in a place called Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Just off the island, there are numerous of these small home subdivisions, you might call. One of them has almost 100 of these little homes on there. They're like a wooden structure with a little top part where the master suite is located. They actually are built on a chassis with wheels, but all of these are permanently set up on these small lots. They're probably about 50 feet wide by 100 feet long. But the three that I looked at were well maintained. There was no trash laying around. There was nothing. Well maintained. Yes, they had water and sewer connections, and I was amazed at how nice they were kept up because they have very diverse restrictions. Two of them, the people rented them. One of them was actually they bought the lots and own them. So it's an interesting concept. And we're talking about something totally that's less than $200,000 to get involved in. So that might be some kind of an answer, but we got to have water and sewer to hook up something like that on these small lots. So those are challenges we got. I do think the accessory dwelling can be done very easily. They have laws the same way for that as a changing of their building codes. Is what they've done. So anyway, that's to be coming. Other than that, one of the final things, my grandson is doing very well. We visited him this past weekend. He's doing very well. He's had the little minor things that most young babies have, ear infection, strep throat. Those little things have happened to him. But he's doing well, and he's unfortunately still going through treatments and things like that. But that's what these early born children go through in life. But he's doing well. So thank you very much on that. With that being said, I need consent to go into closed session.
I move to enter into closed session to discuss litigation strategy and personnel.
Second.
Have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.